Hey guys, and welcome to day 5 of the Food Styling Challenge. We are here today talking all about stews and brown mushy foods. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing to know about stews and brown mushy food is that very similar to our soups, our clear soups post, the first thing that you want to think about is the bowl that you're going to pick to style. I am a big fan of these shallow pasta bowls. These are not very big. They're really about the size of a salad plate, and they're only a couple inches deep, which is a really nice combination there for getting the food up without it really sinking down and sinking away from where you can actually see it. Now, that's great, and if you have complete creative control, then this is my recommendation. But if you don't, and you have a client who comes in and says they want a specific bowl, or maybe you're working with a restaurant and they use a much deeper bowl, what you're going to want to do is get some instant mashed potatoes, and you're going to fill that. This is a nice thick bowl, deep bowl like that, and this is filled just about an inch below the rim there. And then you're just going to pile the stew onto the top of that, and it's going to give you a very similar experience to styling a much more shallow bowl. So let's go ahead and get started here. If you watched our clear soup video, you know I am a big fan of these ice cubes. These are plastic ice cubes. They're very inexpensive. You can get them off of Amazon. They're about 15 bucks for a bag of a bunch of them. And if you have something that's particularly problematic, or you're having trouble really getting it to hold where you want, you can place these in here and kind of build almost a little base to build on top of. You can again also use the mashed potatoes on there. Some food stylists will use shortening to do a similar thing, but I'm not a big fan of shortening. I don't like working with it, and when you put hot liquids on it at all, it starts to melt and becomes a big mess. So I am a much bigger fan of the mashed potatoes, or we also use cut up pieces of just raw potato if we need to place something very specifically and we're struggling with that. But let's go ahead and get started for today here. So another thing to keep in mind is whether or not you're working with a stew that is a homemade stew. If you're, say, like a food blogger, it would be something that you've maybe cooked for your family, and it is what it is, right? Like, you've created it. We cooked this one from scratch here, and it's delicious. I'm going to serve it to my family tonight. But that is a much different styling than, say, someone who is working with a more commercial client. Maybe you have a can of something that's coming out, and you have to work with the product the way the client wants you to. So in the case of a food blogger, I don't do a lot of stuff with our food blog things. I make sure that there's not an excess amount of fat through here to where the sauce looks really nice. We thicken ours with cornstarch, and that's going to give you a really nice gloss factor that really wraps around the meat nicely, versus a flour and butter roux. I prefer the cornstarch for the shine factor. It's also easier to just get it in there, I think, when you're cooking. But what you want to do is go ahead and pull some liquid off, whether you're working with a can or whether you're working with a homemade recipe. Just get some extra liquid separated. If you are using a canned product and it is kind of a mess when you pull it out, everything's brown and mushy, go ahead and strain it, separate the liquid from the solids completely, and wash off the excess fat through here. Depending on how the quality of your liquid is from a canned product, you may not even want to use the liquid. It may be too fatty and just not be kind of draping nicely. So in that case, you can use a little turkey stock, you can use a little beef stock, and just kind of whisk in a little cornstarch and get that thickened up really nicely. If it's not dark enough, it's not coming across on the camera well, we'll use Kitchen Bouquet, which is a browning and seasoning sauce. This is edible, which is really nice. So if you are wanting to feed this to your family afterwards, you can absolutely do that with no trouble. So you can kind of see this is one that we've added some of the Kitchen Bouquet to, and this is one that we haven't. So it's going to give you a much more rich look without having to go through a lot of added effort to get that deep, deep color there. That being said, we're going to set this one over here because I'm not going to style with that one today. So let's go ahead and jump in here and we're going to start layering this in. So to get started, I really like these bowls. They have a lip on the end here, a pour spout, and it just gives you a little bit more control over what you're doing. You can also use a liquid measuring cup. Those are really a great thing. We have lots of liquid measuring cups on hand. One for measuring things and also for just bringing things to the set and pouring them with not a lot of drips. You'll see that you can really kind of isolate that drip right there and lift it out of the set really cleanly. So that's pretty good. We're just going to kind of move this around a little bit here and get this going. And you'll see that this is mostly solids. There is some liquid here, but what I'm going for really is the solids and getting that placement. And at this point, you really want to think about what you're styling for as far as the angle goes. Are you going for an overhead shot? Are you going for kind of a front angle shot? And that's going to affect where your hero items are placed. This piece in particular is kind of bothering my eye. It's a very big chunk of meat. So if you find things like that, I'll generally just get rid of them and really try to find, you know, the best, most attractive pieces. You can do this beforehand. If you're sorting through a canned product, we'll sort that before we start placing in here. But again, this is just a stew that I made for my family, so they're going to eat it for dinner tonight, and I'm going to use it for a tutorial for you guys. So just kind of styling through, kind of picking your way through. Now the thing to know is if you're going to make a stew beforehand, potatoes will break down in your stew. They will cause your sauce to become very kind of muddly if you overcook them. So if you're cooking for the camera, even if you're planning on feeding it to your family, go ahead and undercook everything just a little bit. It's going to leave a lot more vibrance to your vegetables, and it's really going to make the sauce a lot easier to manipulate there. Okay, so that's a good start there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start placing in our vegetables. So again, having some freshly cooked vegetables that aren't overcooked is a really important part to styling these. And we're just going to kind of take these and tuck them in where it looks organic. Being careful not to damage them too much with your tweezers. You can use your fingers too. I use my hands a lot. A lot of people do use their tweezers more, but I am a big fan of just kind of putting things where I want them to go and then adjusting a little bit kind of from there. So that's a good start there. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some pops of green here with our peas. Now when you come in and you're blanching the vegetables for this, 1 to 2 minutes on really hot water for most vegetables is all you need. You just want it to really release that bright, vibrant color. And you don't really want to overcook them. Anything longer than that and they're going to start to kind of deteriorate in color for you. Now, if you're going to serve this to your family afterwards, it's really easy to just reheat it on the stove and get that going to get everything, you know, a little bit more chewable, a little bit more broken down. I don't mind having some broken down potato in my stew if I'm just eating it. So that looks pretty good through there. Maybe add a few more here. And then we're going to add in a little bit more liquid and kind of see where we're at here. So a little there. You're mostly just on the lookout for holes. You want to have a nice organic line kind of on the outside of your bowl there. And as you do this, you are going to cover some of those new additions with a little bit of that sauce, and that just makes your job a little bit easier. You can come in here and you can hand paint all that on, but I'm a big fan of styling really quickly, especially if you've got hungry people at home. They are also big fans of that. So that gets you covered there. Again, you can come in with a paintbrush if you really want to get really fancy here and just kind of brush on a little bit. If your sauce isn't working really well for you, you can mix a little bit of the sauce with a little bit of olive oil to get the shine factor up. but a lot of these cornstarch sauces I find have more than enough shine in them if the potato hasn't broken down too much in it. So that looks pretty good there. And now we're going to add in a little sprinkle of coarse ground pepper, and you really want to make sure you find a nice, I like the Fred Meyer or Kroger brand. That works really well for us. You don't want a dust, you don't want a fine ground, you want something that is a coarse ground. Works really well there. Again, a coarse ground sea salt kind of gives that level, just a little bit more layers there of complexity on the visual surface. And then we're going to come in with a little sprinkle of our garnish. Now, if you are working with a photographer and you're just working as the food stylist, you really want to make sure that you're not garnishing this until you're right on the set, as those greens are just going to start to deteriorate. So really making sure you get that right when they're ready to shoot, after they've already done a stand-in, they've lit everything. Otherwise, it's really difficult to recover back all of those sprinklings of the greens. So that's kind of the basics there, guys. Again, if you're doing it on a deeper bowl, just get the same kind of concept on there, and then you'll just come around and kind of clean the edges of your bowl, and you're ready to shoot. I hope that was super helpful. Feel free to leave me any questions in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see, and I'll be monitoring the comments. And definitely come over, join us in the Facebook group. Click on the messenger link so we can send you reminders for our next free trainings that we're going to do here on Facebook Live. And come on over and be part of our community. I'm so excited to see you there. I'm so excited to work with you. And I'd love to help you improve your food photography and your food videography as well. We will see you tomorrow for day 6. We are going to be working on pasta tomorrow. So make sure that you come over and get those alerts sent to your phone so that you can catch us live tomorrow. See you then.